Candy Ride by Ride the Rails. When people talk about him, the word you always hear is athleticism. He's a top 5 lifetime active sire with 6 champions under his belt, including Horse of the Year Gunrunner, who banked over $15 million, and top-level standouts like Shared Belief and Lane's End's Only Game Winner. He's known for siring horses that are precocious and durable. He has new Grade 1 winners in 2003, like Candied, winner of the Alcibiades, and Go Rocket Ride, who took the Haskell. You add in graded winners like Heavenly Sunday, Touch and Ride, Candyman Rocket, Confidence Game, Hit Show, and you see why he's top 5 by graded stakes winners. He's also strong commercially, with yearlings up to $1 million and plenty of 6-figure sales to boot. On top of all that, he's a proven sire of sires. Just look at Gunrunner topping the charts, or Twirling Candy, an up-and-comer game winner who's shown early promise at the sales with a $600,000 yearling in his first crop. It's clear Candy Ride's legacy is going strong at Lane's End. John, tell me a little bit about Candy Ride as a sire, what makes him so special. You've had some outstanding Candy Rides, including Twirling Candy, who's also a sire, Sydney's Candy, one of my favorite horses of all time.
Well, Candy Ride was an undefeated horse from South America. Even though I didn't train him, I watched his training up to the Pacific Classic at Del Mar, and he was working lights out. So Candy Ride has been a sensational sire from day one. We've had some of his good offspring. I had a filly very early on called Avita Argentina. She won, I think, the Malibu against the boys. I think she's a Candy Ride. And then obviously Twirling Candy, unbelievably good horse, a little unlucky in a couple spots. Also, what you're seeing with him is that he can sire horses to run on either surface. He himself was undefeated on turf, major stakes winner on dirt. He was just a really good horse. Rosario loved him. He used to ride him. He said, "John, this horse has as much talent as any horse I've ever ridden." So that was great. We had, at the same time, we had Sydney's Candy for Jenny and Sid Craig. And he was a super horse, nice horse too, won a lot of good stakes, won the Santa Anita Derby.
Bob, talk a little bit about Candy Ride, right? You've had some pretty good ones, Game Winner, Misremembered, Mastery. Talk about what you see when you go to these sales with the Candy Rides that you saw in those 3 really good Candy Rides that you had.
The thing about Candy Ride, I remember him first coming here from South America. I was actually looking to purchase him, and he ended up with Ron McAnally, and he was a really brilliant racehorse. Turf, dirt, just his speed, he could carry it. He was just a freak of nature. And so I jumped on the bandwagon early, and I had a mare. I remember John Sakura was standing him, and I had a mare to breed, and I just had Point Given. And I bought a 17-year-old mare that was a Grade 1 winner, empty, for $8,000. And I was going to breed her to Point Given, and John Sakura said, "Why would you do that? Breed her to Candy Ride. You know how freaky he was." So he talked me into it, and we got Misremembered, who probably, the only Grade 1 winner I've ever bred, won the Big Cap, great horse. But, they came in all sizes and shapes, Candy Ride. But he was such a brilliant horse himself, and he's been just an outstanding sire. I mean, if you get a good one, they are so good.
Steve, there's a few people that I could say know their way around a good Candy Ride when they see one, considering you had one of the best ever in Gunrunner. Steve, talk a little bit about Candy Ride's influence on Gunrunner and what you see with Candy Rides that are typical with what you saw with Gunrunner.
Well, I think that just that they're not typical. I think just, what a great outcross. The Gunrunner himself, his level of ability, consistency, the strength physically that it took and mentally to maintain that level of form over that long of a period of time, and just not a blemish on him. And then, how he is passing that along to his offspring. It's just a durability physically that is to get around how important that is in horse racing right now.
And what is it when you look at Candy Ride or you look at other Candy Rides? Is there anything that kind of stamps those types where you can see one walking by and you go, oh, that's a Candy Ride?
Well, I just equate everything to Gunrunner himself and the qualities that I do believe that Candy Ride passed on to Gunrunner himself. The hardiness of it, the density of bone, the heart girth, the shoulder, just the balance, the athletes that they are.
Mike, you out in California, you've had the chance to ride some good Candy Rides. You've had to probably run against them quite a bit, but shared belief. I know he's a special one for you. Talk about how special he was and what you saw in him that you often see in a lot of these other Candy Rides.
Wow, shared belief. The most overlooked horse I think I've ever seen. If you'll go back and look at his past performance, I mean, that horse was incredible. I mean, he should go down as, and probably would have if he wouldn't gotten hurt there at the end as one of the all-time greats, man. I mean, he wasn't big in size, but he was one of the most athletic horses I think I've ever been on. I mean, this horse could run probably about 40-something miles per hour and just leap and buck in the air and never miss a stride, like it was and smooth as could be. He was just the neatest horse to be around. He's greatly missed, but yeah, he was certainly. I would say, well, I'm going to be a little biased here, but I would say it was one of Candy Rides, if not his greatest foal that he ever. I think he's the greatest Candy Ride there ever was.
And that says a lot. I mean, obviously he did have the injury, and Candy Rides had a lot of good ones, but shared belief as a racing fan, he was sensational. He made some runs and some races that looked a little bit uncommon, if you will.
Yeah, I mean he's a horse that should have never gotten beat. I mean, he got beat in the Breeders' Cup Classic when he got totally annihilated leaving the gate. I mean, had no chance. I mean, got annihilated several times in that race and still ran a very, very, very good race. And then, when the last time he ran, when I had to pull him up, when he cracked his pelvis. And so he's a horse that should all have ones all the way down on his past performance.
There's sires of sires, and then there's sires of sires of sires. Candy Ride is working his way into that category. Just such an athletic racehorse and a producer of such athletic horses. Some of my favorites, obviously, Shared Belief, Gunrunner, Twirling Candy. He's got to be a fun horse to be around and to have at the farm.
Yeah, we all just love Candy Ride. He's 26 years old now and still going strong. He just loves to go down and do his job, and he just produces such quality individuals time and time again. He's proven himself and to be a great cross with Stormcat Line mares and the Unbridled Line and Dixie Union, AP Indy Line, and the Gone West Line. So he's just such a great stallion to have in the shed, and we love to have him.